Hello, hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello everyone,
Boris.
how you guys are doing? Let me tweet this. Perfect. Okay, Boris, can you hear us okay?
Loud and clear. Yeah, audio is good.
Okay, because I'm literally in the next room tomorrow, so and the wall is not a real wall. So, hopefully there's no echo. Um, okay, let's wait one more minute for more people to join and we can start. I think this might be the only period in time, Boris, where we're more or less at the same temperature between Canada and Uruguay and Argentina.
Yeah. It's maybe supposed to be colder where you are and warmer where I am, but weather is
Yeah,
funny nowadays. But yeah.
exactly.
Well, wait a second. Yesterday I did a big bike ride. Haven't done one in a while, and got completely rugged by the weather. It said like zero point 0.1 millimeters of rain expected. So we thought that's fine. We can do the ride. And then the second half of the 110-kilometer ride, we got completely drenched, like pouring rain. I've never been so cold. Like I couldn't use my hands, couldn't feel my feet. It started hailing, but by the time it was that cold, it was like we're close enough to home that it didn't make sense to try to take a train. So it was, yeah, an adventure. Um,
You hustled.
yeah. Um, okay, we have
Yeah, you had to grind.
yeah, yeah, but
Fun fact,
it's
at some point, the company before we were being called yet another company was called Grind Labs
hmm.
for a period of 2 weeks. I don't know if Mauro remembers this.
Yes, I remember.
That's a cool name actually. I like that.
Yeah, someone can steal it if they want. We don't have the IP. Um, okay, I think we can start,
All right.
right? We have already over 100 people, so I think it's a good number. Did we already share it everywhere? I think I already
Yep,
tweeted, and I saw that you share it in Telegram and
yep,
elsewhere.
and on
Perfect.
Discord. Yeah. So RJ should
O-
maybe start. We'll talk about what we'll be discussing today.
Yeah.
Um,
So maybe
Three
yeah,
main
what we
things, I
can tell
guess.
everyone is, yeah. So today, what we're going to do is the following. As usual, we'll have Mauro explain what happened last week with the engineering team, what's going on, what are the latest updates, and later after that, we'll explain today some stuff of how we're going to use Ethrex, that is the Lambda execution client written in Rust, for our Rust product. And I think we will also mention some stuff about vertical integration. We have been speaking with a bunch of people who are interested in using our tech, and we have been explaining to them why we chose this route that I think is different from other teams. Like, why are we doing everything vertically integrated? Why are we using this specific client, execution client, and why this design in mind? So I think that's kind of unique. We think is the right approach, and we'll tell. Uh, but at least it's something different, and I think it's worth explaining. Um, and I think that's it. We have the good thing out of the alignment session is I think we're getting more efficient on it, and we have already 15 in a row. I don't know if we missed 1 week, uh, maybe one when we were traveling, but it has been we have been very consistent. So if you are watching us every single week, things should be easy to follow. So, Mauro, do you want to talk about first what happened last week with the team, what they're up to?
Yes, I can give a quick recap. So,
Yes,
uh,
and Mauro, I'm gonna
yeah,
share screen and show
yes,
the
of course.
engineering updates thread so we can follow along.
All right. So, yeah, the first PR that you see there is just small refactor of the library. There were like, if you were using SDK, there was like a lot of indirection to access some modules, and it wasn't really clear. So we smoothed it out a little bit, so the experience of developing with Align is simpler. We'll probably do another small one to also help with this, but it shouldn't change much the SDK. The big one that is merged is the one below, that is that we added the last methods that were missing to start verifying all the aggregated proofs on chain. So with this, the aggregation mode from the point of view of a user is complete, in the sense that you can do an end-to-end product where you send a proof to Align, and then you use the aggregated proof on chain to, for example, change the state in Ethereum. What we are doing now, that is already complete, but you will see that it's not merged. I think it's probably on the second element, not that one, but there is another one related to this in the work in progress. That is, no, not that one. Okay, it doesn't matter. There, the full example. So now we are doing an example of an application. The spirit is to show a little bit how an L2 will work. It's not a real L2, so it's more a simple example of an application. In this case, it runs an execution of transfers between people, and the program is only checking that that money doesn't appear from nowhere and doesn't get lost. So it's like energy conservation, but with money. Of course, in a real scenario, you have to check signatures. There is a lot of more work to do, but the purpose is to show the integration with Align, not to show how to deploy a real L2. That's more related to about that later. So yeah, you verify this proof, you send it to the aggregation mode, and then you change a state of a contract on chain. And this is very similar to what L2 does. It starts executing things, changes its state, and at some point it settles on Ethereum and changes the state on Ethereum. Almost done. It's not merged only because I didn't like the documentation a lot, and I want the documentation to be a bit clearer on what it does. It should be a little bit less clunky in some things, but it's fully done. The other thing that is almost finished is that we have been teaching for a while, is that the splitting of the aggregation into programs, one that aggregates multiple proofs from users, and one that aggregates the aggregated proof of the users. This is done because of technical limitations. Like, I think you cannot do more than 1,000 proofs in one go. For technical reason, it doesn't work. Like you can think that the machine just panic because it doesn't have enough resources. So in this way, we can scale a little bit more the aggregation mode, and it can start handling a bigger throughput.
Can you explain why this fixes that problem, Mauro?
Yes. Usually, what you will see in that in programs running CKVM is that the size of the program doesn't matter, because what the VM is doing is splitting your program in many parts, proving them in parts, proving that the parts are related, and then aggregating all the proofs into one proof. That's usually how a Stark CKVM works. But the aggregation circuits are more specific, and they don't handle these partitions so well. So what we do is we manually have to start doing partitions, split our aggregating programs in chunks of, let's say, 512 elements, and then doing a proof that we aggregated correctly those proof. So that's a proof of the aggregation of an aggregation. So sorry, let's say it in another way. Usually the way I like it to say is that you are the, the first layer is kind of is proving that I have verified correctly, let's say 500 proofs. And then the last layer, what it's going to do is to prove that it has verified correctly, let's say 500 proof that have verified correctly 500 proofs. Right? In that way, it scales much better. And in the future, it also allows us to parallelize this process and use multiple GPUs or use multiple machines. So it works in the way. With this, I think the cryptography of the aggregation mode will be quite solid. There won't be much to do there. The rest of the work is improving the feeling for the user, to have. I don't want, for example, right now you need a beacon node. I think we can avoid that and provide some endpoints to not have to run to not have to pay for your own beacon node, but it's more quality of life things for the users and some small changes. Was that clear, Shay?
Yeah, I think the only thing I will add is for the last point you made is today you need to run certain or have certain infrastructure in order to use aligned. What Mauro is saying is we want to abstract that further, and if you don't want to, you can just kind of send the proof to aligned and don't need to run certain stuff. That's the idea. So it's simpler. But if you are an application that wants to run in production and you want to handle things more on your own, you will have that ability. But certain people will just want to send proofs. I think that's the only thing I would add. And then I think what we should do in the future with the ecosystem team, Mauro, is explain more some of the things you mentioned about the aeration mode and how we are making it more performant and some of the bottlenecks we found. I think
Yes,
is what we have been speaking over the last few months as well, even before we had the MVP of the aeration mode.
of course. The other PRs, we can do a quick check, but it's probably more minor stuff. Yeah, that's also a small fix of something that could panic in some scenario that wasn't working properly. But yeah. The other things that they are not here, but you will probably see them next week, is we need to bump some libraries, Shinark. So some people were asking us about using Narc on the last version. That will probably be there soon. We will probably do it this week, but the upgrade might take another week. And since we do it first in testnet and then in mainnet, to reach mainnet, it might take 10 days or something like that. On testnet, it should be faster. Yes.
Yes, and it's an easy upgrade. It's not like we're touching anything very important. Just using an updated version.
That's right. So that's it on this part. I think we can talk a bit about Etrex, maybe Arshay. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do that. No, for closing this, I think I always mention the same thing. It's going to be very repetitive for Boris and Mauro. We usually have two things going on that are important. One is still maintaining and improving some stuff around the first product, that is the proof verification layer. Before it was known as the fast mode. So we have certain reliability stuff, bugs, and things that we need to take care of. And then we have another thing that is usually improving the developer experience and the documentation. So you will see us talk about those things every single week. And then the aggregation mode, that is the biggest thing that the engineering team is doing right now, that we already showed that is working in testnet, and we're improving this MVP. And hopefully in the near future, we will have a clear kind of roadmap for the aeration mode in specific, and trying to say, okay, we can launch it in mainnet by this date. We will audit it and do everything. And for everyone to remember, the aeration mode supports both Freak0 and SP1 for the time being. Hopefully in the future, we will integrate with more CKVMs. if they're ready. But we are extremely pragmatic, and we will try to support all of them or most of them, especially if there's demand for a specific one. Okay, so now let's talk about, yeah, Boris.
I was going to say, yeah, just a quick reminder for people who may or may not have noticed, we have started putting out a weekly update on our blog that goes over these engineering updates, as well as a thread, which is what I've been showing on the screen here. So if you don't want to look through our open source GitHub repo to see updates every week, you can just subscribe to our blog and you will get these updates every Monday, typically.
Yeah, every single Monday, just to share it with you. And yeah, we will have all of those things, and we'll try to explain in simpler terms because we know many people from the community are not technical, and or maybe they don't want to spend the time looking at the GitHub and trying to understand what's going on. And waiting for a demo or like a big announcement might not be frequent enough for some people that want to know what's going on every single week. So, and if you have any feedback on that and you would like to see something specific that we're not doing, please share it. We'll try to include them. One of the things I think we will do is record a separate video with the updates and trying to explain it even simpler terms. So today, have Mauro explain it, but maybe I will be doing like a summary of what he's saying in a separate video, and we'll share that. We're exploring different stuff to synthesize and make things easier for everyone. Well, so now we'll speak about Diffrex. We'll speak about Diffrex. There is a very important product for us, very important piece of software that is being developed by Lambda and is the base or the foundation for what we're going to use in order to build the web as a service. So for those who don't know, we're also building, apart from the proof verification layer and the aggregation mode, a service for people to launch their own rollup on top of Ethereum. Our idea is to offer a full stack of services on top of Ethereum in order to access Ethereum as a financial backend. That means authentication, that will be the wallets as a service, execution, that is the rollups, and these kind of microservices or very specific layers in order to amortize the cost and improve the experience of the people launching the rollups and improving their cost. Something similar, you could say, to what some things AWS have done in the past. Like they offer people servers to run and make it easier for people to develop web services, but they also have internal services, databases, storage services, authentication services for those developers to also have a better experience and going into a market quicker. So for the rollup as a service, what we realized is that we wanted to have a different solution that was not in the market. What I mean by this is that most people that offer rollups go and grab the solution that is being developed by an L2. For example, Arbitrum has, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Boris, but it's called Orbit, I think.
Orbit chains, yeah, that's their stack.
Yeah, their stack solution. Then you have OP Stack, that is the optimism stack, that is the easiest one to launch and the most adopted. And then you have CK Sync, they have the CK Stack. And I'm probably Tyco. I don't know if it's easy to launch their own stack or not.
I don't know.
Or they're building one, I think.
Yeah, they do have one that's in development. But the other would be Polygon's CDK, which includes the Aragon CDK, and then also OP Stack now, both able to plug into AgLayer.
Okay. Yes, we have because Polygon already adopted stuff. Like all of these people were saying is, okay, I will offer all of them or many of them and try to integrate what other services that I'm offering in order to have interoperability or whatever. What we're saying is the opposite. Like, we don't care to offer all of them because that implies that your client will have the technical knowledge to decide which one is better, and that those solutions actually adapt to what you need and have the best technology possible. So we're going to use the Lambda execution client and an L2 solution that is being developed in order to launch Roll, but it's also a stack. So what we're going to do is grab that solution that we know that is designed specific to be minimal, to do not have many dependencies, to be performant in the future. That is a code base that is going to be easy to read and maintain. That will have support for TE. That is designed specific to be proven with CK, with SP1 or X0 for now. I think in the future Pico as well, Mauro, but I think that's not a priority right now for them. And that is going to be a base rollup. Yes, Mauro.
No, yes, I think like they have some integration with Pico. It will depend more on Pico finishing the GPU optimization than another thing. I mean, it's there, but without GPU is not as fast as 3.0 or SP1. So I think like as soon as they have it, it will probably get integrated. Yeah, TTX is already there, so we already have the enclaves, so that's already working. That you mentioned.
Yes, the solution is already working. The demo's working. They're already doing some base stuff, base sequencing. They already proposed a base sequencing solution, and they already have some code actually working. So we believe the design for this stack is one of the best out there. I personally believe it's the best, and we want to build the product on top of this. So we will have Ethrex, and we already have an integration going on with Aligned, and that we shared in the past. That means that when you launch this stack, the proofs generated by the L2 are aggregated by Aligned and verified on Ethereum. And the rollup as a service will build a product on top of this, so anyone can easily launch the solution. And we will offer them the infrastructure they need in order to have a very performant L2, and with different services they can use in order to improve the services and the performance of what they need according to their needs. Like if you want a certain data availability in the future, we will try to offer that as well. If you want a very high performant rollup, we'll also offer the infrastructure so you can actually have a super high performant L2. So what we're saying is, okay, let's grab this. Rollups are getting commoditized. What we need to do is integrate with the microservices that we're offering and have something that is easy for everyone to use. It shouldn't be that hard for I don't know, 2 developers to launch their own rollup and be administrated. There are a lot of things that still need to be proven, and I think there are many teams that are actually working on some interesting features, like the stack being developed by Nethermind. But we need something that is completely built from scratch with these things in mind. That is that we want something that is minimal, that is designed for CK, and that is designed for base rollups. We believe those things are super important so we can offer the best rollup as a service possible. And also the first clients we're having are not people who are super familiar with all of the ecosystems that exist in crypto. Like most people who are launching rollups today, they have like a BD pipeline with a certain ecosystem. Like they go to Arbitrum and it's like, okay, rollup as a service. I have this person that wants to launch my stack. Why don't you grab this client and help them launch it? We're different. Like we already have people that want to launch this stuff, and we know that we need to build a solution that actually is tailored for what we have been seeing for these people. So that's why we're also offering the wallets as a service, because we know these people have their own distribution. These users will not have wallets, so we need to build a solution for them. It's different. The pipeline and the people who were speaking come from a different place. So that's why we thought, okay, we need to do everything from scratch with some stuff in mind. We care about security, we care about performance, we do care about interoperability. That's why we're working on our own solution, and that's why we're also building based rollups. So some people can decide to launch based, some people decide to launch it as a centralized solution, but it should be flexible enough for everyone to decide how they want to launch their own rollup. And hopefully in the future, we are also able to offer a solution or a stack that is not EVM, that is a rollup for design for specific stuff, written in Rust. But that's more long term, and we'll see what happens. I don't know, Mauro, if I'm missing any particular feature that is important to address.
No, I think like you got everything covered. So yeah, if anybody has a question about this, maybe ping us and we can answer.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, what I've just shared on the screen here is a tweet from Fede from earlier today talking about a bunch of updates on Ethrex. And RJ, I think you mentioned all the important things. But yeah, if anyone is interested in our RAS solution and wants to discuss with us, we're more than happy to talk. Like RJ said, we're going to be using this Ethrex execution client that Lambda class is developing in a zkVM and a multi-proving setup, including TEEs, RISC-0, SP1. And like RJ said, really the goal is to make it super easy for people, say, institutions that aren't so-called crypto native, but see that a rollup makes a lot of sense for them, for their business or their users, so they can launch it and have it just work. We think that's something the market really needs. So exciting stuff. Please reach out if you do want to chat.
Yeah, and something that is important, that there are not many of the solutions available to are not easy to actually launch. I don't think I want to be in a place where the stuff we have doesn't require you to have a Telegram group with us in order to launch and build your own thing. I think we should offer the customer support for that to happen. But what I mean is the product should be good enough in order to not be necessary to have Mauro, myself, or Boris helping in the process. Things should be easy to launch by yourself. You shouldn't do any ecosystem grants or whatever in order to choose our tech. You should choose our tech because we're helping you. We're helping your business with good technology and a good product. And you want to build a long-term relationship with us because you know that our solution will offer you value long-term in order to access Ethereum. So that's very important because that's a better way to scale everything. If you have good software that everyone can use without having to call people from the team to understand how you need to configure something or whatever, those things create friction and frustration, and it should be super simple. Like a college student should be able to launch their own rollup. That's the future we want to where we want to be in the future. I don't think that's where we are 100% today, but we have that goal in mind. Like it should be safe and easy to do for a college student or someone who is finishing engineering, software engineering. And the software and everything should be also, and us should also offer people who are not that technical, do not have a super technical team, help them launch their things as well. But we usually think from the perspective of the technical team behind the business. There's usually a CTO and all of them. We need to have the best tools for them. And that means it should be easy to check that the things that we're running work as expected, that we have good documentation, that the product is easy to launch, and it has the right features. Hopefully, we'll be able to build these products with that in mind. It's a constant progress. It's not something that will be from day one, like what I'm saying. And if you try our stuff and we're very far away from that, please sit on us. Tell us that something is not working, and we'll take the feedback and try to improve on it. I don't know, Boris, if you have like any questions or you're curious about anything specific about why we're choosing Ethrex, or if we are missing anything specific.
I have been following along with the Ethrex stuff fairly closely, so I know that there's still performance improvements that are being worked on. But I think it's worth mentioning that the Ethrex team has been also working on integrating this client with Aligned for verification. So that's something that's in. If you check out the Telegram group, they have weekly engineering updates as well, and that's something that they have been testing. So that's exciting. I think it seems like it should be pretty easy for us to start offering this once the client itself is done and audits are completed and everything. So I'm sure our first customers will be happy about that. I think it would be fun to talk about them, but I guess we're saving that for a bigger announcement, not just casually mentioning it in one of these streams.
Yeah.
You mentioned performance. Just in case, like the Etherx client or Cray can handle more than the gas limit of Ethereum, right? So it's much faster than what you need to run Ethereum. The thing is, they are trying to reach 1 gigagas, which is very cool for an L2, and that's the current objective to reach one gigagas.
And that's like 30 times the gas limit of the L1, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Roughly, yeah. Yeah. But it's already
I
performant enough for L1 usage. It's just
Yes,
L2 usage.
they have, I think, like 300 mil, 300,000, sorry,
Well, nice.
of gas limit.
I think 1 gigagas is a gas limit of base, right?
Of what?
Of the L2 base, the one from Coinbase.
Probably.
To give a sense to people, like that's one of the most performant one today. So yes, they're working in performance, and they started working in base rollups and base sequencing, and the integration with Aligned. They already did a proof of concept, and we'll try to give more updates whenever we can. So I think we cover everything for today.
Yeah.
I don't know, Boris, if you want to mention anything else. We still need to book something for this Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
We cannot share anything yet.
No, but we have a really cool guest for next Wednesday, which I can mention now. We have Enoch, who's building Sigil, an interesting L2 that is very focused on having an exit window. You might have seen him around on Twitter. I think it's going to be a really good conversation. So that's next Wednesday, but stay tuned for this Wednesday.
Perfect. And I think we're also, for those who are interested, we'll be working on the thumbnails and making sure that we have all the content available from past streams in YouTube. And you probably will see in our Twitter more edits and some of all of these things with many of the great conversations Boris have been having with many of these people over the past few weeks. I think how many guests you already had?
Ooh, for the Wednesday streams, I think a dozen so far.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and I've learned a lot. And I said this in previous videos as well, but if anybody watching has suggestions or ideas for guests that I should bring on that you'd like to see, please let me know. This is a good way for us to just talk about the different things happening in ZK Ethereum. Hopefully teach our audience and our community more about these different topics, and I get a chance to learn about it as well. So we've done 10 of those streams so far, but some of them had more than one guest. So
okay,
1,000 people.
Perfect. Okay, thank you everyone. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Ciao.
Bye bye.